Okay, so the second paragraph is Dalid. What did we learn in the first paragraph? Basically, the Taich Yesh Ma'ayin is not only ayin because it's no thing that we can grasp, the source of creation, but it's ayin lagabi the etzem. That's the merest ha'orah of the Eibishter that brings all of existence into being. And moreover, even this ha'orah, in a general term, has to be contained and screened and compromised in kelim, etc. In order to create the finite world as we know it, finite creation, biyah as we know it. So the final source then of biyah is malchus datzilus. Malchus datzilus, which is a product of, or is, ha'orah, and the ha'orah itself that has been invested in kelim and receives from, of course, from the higher sviras, which are also iris in kelim.
Are you excluding all the other spheres that they are not Eres Bekelim?
No, they are, but it is especially Malchus, the final address of the creative force of this ha'orah and all of its limitations is Malchus Datzilus. Malchus Datzilus is the word of God, which conveys the attributes above it, producing creation. Right, there are 7 days of creation, each one corresponding to a different midah, and there are 10 utterances of creation, each one expressive of a different sphere, but they're all articulated through a further helen v'hester, as it were, of Malchus, which is not just a keli, but mamash dibur, Hashem's speech, which is extremely limiting. All to point to the divine force responsible for creation is extremely limited. The merest glimmer of a glimmer of a likus of the Eibishter. Okay, so what's tefillah? Tefillah, this was all introduced in order for us to appreciate Atzilus, which is the source. Atzilus is the ayin here. So, and Shmonesa, the fourth round, leads the Yid from Arza to Shemaima to Atzilus. What does it mean to Atzilus? We're getting in a rocket ship. How far do we have to travel? Right? Obviously, we mean this as it is, but Pnimius and Baruchni is an appreciation of the truth of the Eibishter and the truth of creation, ever deeper, culminating as it is in Atzilus. So now will take us through the journey. So the second paragraph of Veis Dalet. So this is tefillah. Tefillah, the starting point is the level of likus, which is the source of olamus, which we just said moments ago, b'chnes malchus. Malchus is the word of Hashem that brings creation into being, the final stage in the creative source, Atzilus, that produces biyah. So what's tefillah? Tefillah is there. The whole avodah of tefillah is the avodah of Malchus, meaning Malchus has many layers and meanings. As we're going to say, Malchus refers to Neshamas Yisrael. Quite simply, we're the recipient of God's beneficence. I said that right? Beneficent, something like that. The Eibush is hashpah. So tefillah is all about Malchus, as he goes on to explain that. Like he brings it, the Rebbe Rashab. Tefillah is Malchus. In a word, it's our avodim l'mata l'mayla. Malchus is the recipient. Malchus is the makabel. Malchus is the female. We're the female. God's the male. And Malchus is about the entreaties of the female to the male. Malchus to the mashpia. Moishe Kosbe Pritz Chaim Bagdoma, as he writes in Pritz Chaim's classic Kabbalah work, in Kabbalistic language, it is as follows: Shebchinas HaMalchus mispaleles or mischanenes mizah baila. Malchus prays and pleads from Zah, her husband, that's the 6 midas, Chesed Yesod, litin lo machseira, to give her what she lacks. And what is it she's asking for? The kivin shebchinas HaMalchus nase bchinas makil oilames. So Malchus has become a source for Olamis, and we just finished saying Barichas. It's the merest glimmer of Alikus. It's undergone tremendous tzimtzumim. Only HaOlah, to begin with, is Harei mispaleles, mischaneles, lemalis lach machseira. So Malchus says, I'm compromised Alikus, so I want fill that which I lack. Sheyumshach gamma oy shelamaylim oilamis. So Malchus is asking not the what of ayin, which is the merest glimmer HaOlah, but the oy, which is hidden olamus altogether. It's not 100% clear, but just based on other places, when you say it now here, when we're saying oy shelamaylim olamus means biyah, even atzilus. The answer is both. The answer is both. First level is atzilus, that in our purpose is hidden olamus. Olamus we're speaking about here is biyah. And Malchus has profoundly filtered it. So Malchus is asking that the source, she is the source of a very compromised revelation. So she's asking there should be invested in her that which is above her. That's Zoh. But Bemis, not only Zoh, but hidden olamus, hidden atzilus also in the end, which is what happens. And Zoh itself becomes the beneficiary of Malchus's call, Malchus's yearning. Zoh is quite satisfied to be the big mashpia. But as a result of Malchus, Zoh becomes connected to that which is bechlal higher than Ishtalshalus. Zoh is elevated and transformed. And this is the theme, of course, of your wedding Maimer. So continuing now, connecting this in Mashakosaba Kapitel Tilim, this is the capital that year that Rebbe was concluding of that year of Tafshin Chav Dalet. It was concluding Kapitel Samach Beis. So Pasuk Beis, the second Pasuk, Ach and Elikim Doimia Doimi Nafshi. Doimia Nafshi. Which means, to Hashem, my soul calls in silent. My soul is silent, but it means it calls in silent supplication. Who's speaking? Malchus is speaking, and Elikim here is Zoh, and even higher, Lamaylam Oylamis. Shazeh kol is in Tefillah, that's what Tefillah is. That's what she's lacking. She's lacking. She wants the Ashpah, the way it is in the Mocker. On 2 levels, we said Atzilus and even beyond. Shazeh kol is in Tefillah, Shnemabot, and that's what Tefillah is, about which the Pasuk says, it says, Chana speaking, Ve'eshbeches nafshi, and I pour out my soul. That it's known, the Koy al Pchinas al Malchus Nikras Nefesh. Malchus is called Nefesh. Right, the 4 levels of the Neshama, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida. So what dominates the level of Nefesh is Malchus. What dominates the level of Ruach is the Midas. What dominates the level of Neshama is Bina. What dominates Atzilus is Chacham. So Eshbeches Nafshi is Malchus. So in a word, he's saying that what's Tefillah? Tefillah is, in simple language, Tefillah is the Yid, Malchus, the recipient, who's calling out to the Eibishter, fill my lack. Why? Because creation is merely a glimmer of you. Especially as it's being filtered through Hashem's word, Malchus, the greatest tzimtzum. This pasuk is familiar to you, quoted many times. We had Ragleha Yerdes Maves, yeah, which means It's a reference to what? The Pneumius, okay. Pasha's Apostle is talking about the harlot that leads her feet lead you to death. But Pneumius, what does it quote this pasuk? Read it many, many times.
You read it from Malchus into the Olamus.
See, the source ultimately of Klippa even. Such Helen Vehester, even of Klippa. Gimel Klippa said Klippa and even lower. Why? Because of the tremendous Helen Vehester. A word. Word is very concealing. You got to decode it to understand what it means. I think we mentioned this once. What's the term that Chassidus uses to describe? We rephrase that. Speech is one of something of the nefesh. It's one of the three. We use the word koiches, levushim, garments. Another word for levush is beged. And livgod means to act treacherously. Because a person can lie in his words. Can say words he doesn't mean. Can say words that are absolute lies. Can't think a lie, much harder. You can think the lie, but you can't feel the lie, certainly. So that's why Lavush is called a beged. So Malchus is Hashem's word. It's a tremendous concealment that leads to the treachery. What's the treachery? The treachery is what? This is the mothers. What's the treachery that Malchus leads to? Is responsible for which he cries out, fill this lack. I mean, I didn't ask for this role, but that's what you put me. So she cries out, Lamalis chesreina. What's the treachery that Malchus produces? That we don't know the Eibishter, we feel independent, and we act treacherously. So v'eshbech is nafshi, so this is Malchus, is constant. Tefillah, this is what Tefillah is. Tefillah is Gewalt. This world is a world of lies. And it's a world of lies because Alma de Shikra, because you're so terribly concealed. And so the request is to fill the lack, we should feel the source, starting with the creative force in Atzilus, and even beyond. As the Maimon now take us through the steps of the tefillah, of the avodas hatefillah. V'hinei, yeah. What are we saying to now? Somewhat clear? Yep, good. Let's continue now. You say. If you don't understand every word, it's okay. It's good to get the general idea at very least. Well, not at very least, it's also good. In the Mashin is barely what we said before. Tefillah starts where creation starts. Where godliness is so concealed that it's a source for Olamus. That's got to be filled. That lack has to be addressed. What's the lack? The lack is the lack of divine revelation, which results in sense of independence and all the terrible things that follow. So I kind of said this, and now he's spelling it out for us. The request to be fulfilled is laid up. Not only do we want to feel, basically this is Atzilus. Not only do we want to feel the creative force, we want to feel the 10 spheres, we want to feel the creative force that's bringing creation into being. Not only that, that's also extraordinary. It would be a great request fulfilled. And how is that? And what's that level relating to Mamala Kol Almin? Again, Mamala Kol Almin, basically that's still the 10 spheres, the 10 words of creation that are responsible for creation. We don't just want to feel that. Meditating on that level of godliness that is feeling creation, relatively finite descriptive levels, the 10 spheres. But that's the first step. That's the first love. This leads us to the level of loving God with all your heart. The mind will explain this, but that's not enough. The neshama yearns for more. The neshama yearns to know you, even your transcendent levels, in simple words, beyond creator. To know you as creator, which is a malakal almin, engenders a love of b'chol levavcha, as I'll explain. But the neshama wants more, wants the truth. El b'chenasei v'chol almin, your transcendent revelation. Shal yoda b'im li'avd b'chol nafshecha. This is yet a higher of the love of b'chol nafshecha. Even Mesiris Nefesh, Commission is barely yelled, but Maim Shlif, as we looked in the previous Maim, no doubt we all remember. Yeah. Vinyaber is going to elaborate now. So the first meditation in davening, first we have to appreciate the divinity that fills creation. Why? Aside from the fact that it's the most accessible level, but how do we start off? We start off, we're impressed with the world. Because we're impressed with the world, that's the whole point. Pasha the Gashmius. So the first thing to know is, it's a beautiful world. So you know where this comes from. This beautiful world is merely a marginal expression of the divine attributes, and responsible for this world. You see Chesed and Gevurah, you see all these beautiful properties in the world, they're all a result of divine energies. That's the real beauty. And that's the truth of what's behind everything. Everything exists because of these divine forces invested in them. So that's the first meditation. So what is that? The first meditation is godliness in the world that's animating the world. And what is that? That itself is a mere reflection, as extraordinary as it is, and descriptive and colorful, the 10 spheres, especially the 7 that are invested in the 7 days of creation. They're all magnificent attributes. That's the first meditation. But all of that is still only a ha'olah, a mere glimmer. Continuing the meditation, that the person is to meditate. It's medrash. The person should meditate as follows: just like the soul animates the body that he feels. He feels that the body is animated by a soul. There's a personality, there's an energy, complex and beautiful person in there. So look at the world and don't just see the physicality. Recognize that what's animating it all, the life, what's behind it is a likus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then he thinks further. He thinks about the manifold creations in the world and how beautiful and extraordinary and vast and different they are. As David Melech exclaims in Tehillim, how manifold are your works, oh dear God. Chayusam, and he meditates it. Chayusam by Ur. So what animates, what gives rise to all of this? All of this complexity and beauty, stunning beauty. And science bets and helps us in seeing the beauty of the world on so many levels, and discovery of new creatures, especially in the ocean. I'm sure you've seen the BBC documentaries. Mind-blowing. What's going on down there? It's all a reflection of what's happening here, though we don't see it here. So all of this is chayusim be'ed alikish mislabish behem. Their life force is the divine light energy which is invested in them. But again, it's all HaOlah. This is not the Eibishter's greatness, and yet how incredible it is. So this is the first level of love. As a yovel avad b'chol levavcha. with all your heart, and there's two bases there, not b'chol libcha, b'chol vavcha. We only have one heart, so why does it use two bases? Because it's a reference to B'shnei Yitzarech. Not only is the godly soul moved by this, but the Yitzhak of the animal soul, who's moved by the beauty of the world. And now this is the deeper understanding of what that beauty is. Shagam Yitzhak Yovin, even the Yitzhak will understand that go for the source and how grand and beautiful the source is. That the truth, the primary reality of existence is the godly energy that brings it all to being. And even the Yitzhak, Nefesh Bahamis, is aroused for a love for godliness. He likes things. Okay, so you like things. You know what the real thing is? Elikus is the real thing. This thing that you like, what its panemius is elikus. And that's what the big delight is. That's the first hisbonenus, looking at the world around him and appreciating that what it is a consequence and a result of the divine energies invested in creation. Then he deepens his meditation. That's the first shlav. This is from Meidani till Baruch Shama. But then he meditates. It says every single day. Obviously, why every day? If we go through this meditation once, so you know it. Why are we doing this every day? We know the final chapter. We know the end result. Yeah. That's personally why you're davening every day. He commanded to daven. Okay, good. That's the foundation. Avodas hatfilah. Doesn't stick because do we need a big reason why? Because we're sheichne botei chaymer. We're dwellers in houses of chaymer, of materiality, and then we're just physically sensual. We need constantly to open up and recognize that the ikar is elikus. We're easily distracted. So it's a constant avodah. Just like marriage, right? There's a constant avodah. But then he's misbeinen that this all that he's meditating on and appreciating through a lot of hard work, a deep hisbonenus, to understand the nature of nature is really godly. Then he's misbeinen all of this beauty and grandeur and tender and magnificence. It's only the merest tenderness, magnificence, terror, fury. It's only HaOlah bilvad. It's all the merest reflection and glimmer of the divine. Incomparable to God's transcendent revelation. Beyond and wondrously beyond from creation. And that's what he's connecting to now. And thinking about and entertaining. So this engenders a whole different relationship. Basically, I love the way you make me feel. This is so beautiful. The readiness to sacrifice for you. The holy soul. Here he wants to connect to the Eibishter beyond creation. The first one is he's embracing creation and appreciating it and thankful and grateful. The second love is the love of Mesiras Nefesh. He wants to go beyond creation. Want to connect to your truth beyond. Beyond that fulfills me. Your mystery. Ladas kol ros seideka. To know all the mysteries of of your secrets. He continues, yeah, we're following. Give and since. If that's not enough, the Jew is not satisfied. Still not you, mamish. Because even your transcendent levels described as transcending all creation. It's described, this revelation described as transcending and surrounding creation, which means this is not completely, this is not you beyond created entirely. It's still, in fact, part of your creative expression. As he goes on to say, in the contrary, you create, the main creative force is actually sovev. Mamal is what gives the form and nature to the individual creation, but what creates it is sovev kalam. So it's still God as creator. And I want to know you. So it's understood when in the world is illuminated just Mamala Kalam in. So now concluding this. What are we saying? That tefillah is the neshama is crying out to the Eibush, the Malchus, which is neshamas Yisrael, Malchus Datzilos. Fill me with you. So the first thing is fill me with a malach kalalmin. So when that is nimshach, but I still don't know the transcendent, don't feel your transcendent levels. That's for sure chsaron. The world is lacking it, knowing its own creative force, because sovev kalalmin is also part of the creator, as we just said moments ago. Sovev kalalmin creates the actual yesh ma'ayin. Mamale gives that yesh the form and nature, filling it according to its level. So that's certainly chsaron. We're still not feeling the creative force responsible for creation. If it's only connecting, it's still a chsaron, as long as Eretzev Kalalmin is not revealed. Following this, like he brings in the Maim that Rabbi Rashab concluded a dugma min Maim Razal, an illustration of this, of what? From Maim Chazal, of what? That even if a malach kalalmid is revealed and we appreciate that and it's seen, it's still a chsaron even mitzad the Welt. Because sovev kalalmid is also an active, every moment, creative energy, which is actually creating yesh ma'ayin. So what's an illustration of that? Because at one level the world is filled. Mamala means it's filled. He's trying to explain. The one that it's filled, we say we're still saying it's a chsaron. If that's all we have is malach kalalmin, yes, because behind the malach kalalmin is a sovev kalalmin, which is really the primary creative force. So we're still not connecting to the creative forces in totality that are responsible for creation. Clear? So what's the dogma? The dogma is the Maimon Chazal about Shabbos. Ma ha'olam chaser menucha. What was the world missing? Tranquility. Ba Shabbos ba menucha, which brings out that even on one level it was complete. Ha'tשכ God completed all the melachta, all of his work. So on one level there's a completion, but there's a whole new lack here. And the lack is the tranquility and the transcendence that comes after the completion of the work. And that is sovev kalalmin. And that is the second level of request. And then we'll get to the third level, concluding the paragraph. Therefore, tefillah, which is the request and the call of neshamas Yisrael, I want to feel and know you, feel the lack that leads to the treachery, the concealment. Shebakosha Milchsor includes not just B'chol Levavcha, but B'chol Nafsha. We would think it would stop there. No, it's B'chol Ba'itcha. Okay.